Hey everyone, welcome to Group Text. Very exciting today because we are doing a crossover episode with dynamic mother-daughter sensation Anna Quincoces and Beba Stapleton. They are the hosts of Mami Issues podcast, which is wonderful and funny and, believe me, something I can relate to. You might remember Anna from Real Housewives of Miami, and we're going to definitely get into that. On their podcast, Beba and Anna talk about the differences between Gen X and millennials and their different perspectives on everything from pop culture, reality TV, relationships, whatever else is on their minds. And please remember, this is a special crossover episode of Group Text and Mami Issues. On that note, ladies, welcome to Group Text. Okay, I don't want anyone to feel excluded. So, Anna, I want to make sure that I mention you have another daughter, Katie, and a new granddaughter named Lola. Yes. Congratulations. Anna, do you feel like a grandmother yet?
Yeah, I feel like a grandmother. I feel like a grandmother because I'm ridiculous, in all the ways that grandmothers are. I mean, there is not one person that I meet, even 5 seconds is enough for me to pull out the picture. And I never thought I'd be that person. And so I'm embracing the grandmother thing.
Yeah. What are you called? My mother, everyone's like, what is he gonna call you? My mom was like, grandma.
She doesn't call me anything yet because she's too little, but she's about to. But we decided on G.
G.
Okay.
G is cool.
Yeah. G is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. You might, she's gonna have to explain to her friends that it's not for gangsta grandma.
Yeah, well, why not? Maybe she'll say my grandmother's a gangsta.
Exactly. So how old is Lola now? And, we all know she's beautiful and perfect and blah, 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 because they all are. Tell me about her.
She's the best. She's a year and a half, like next week. I think next week. And she's beautiful and perfect and blah, blah, blah. I just discovered when I was younger, I had a lisp that I had to do speech therapy for. She has a lisp. Wow. I just found out today that she has a lisp. I'm like, oh, so cute. It's kind of the only thing that reflects me in her. She looks nothing like me. She is the whitest baby you've ever seen. Like blondish hair, blue eyes, pale skin. I go to parks and people are like, oh, where's the mommy? Are you the nanny? And I'm like, fuck you. I'm not the nanny. Yeah. I birthed her.
Yeah, Cooper looks nothing like me.
Yeah.
Like he's the spitting image of his dad, except for through the eyes a little. And he has the same smile as me.
Right. That's good. But that's the same smile is good.
But that's it. Big.
That's it.
Yeah.
That it's people are like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, he's mine. Okay. I want to talk about the mother-daughter relationship. And my mother and I obviously had a very unique relationship. Yours has been called, we used to say unique. You guys have been called unorthodox.
Who's calling us unorthodox?
I like it. I'm good. We are. I think we are unorthodox. And I don't know. I had 2 girls and Kathy is only 11 months older than Beba. And I raised them the same.
Bless you.
Right? Who does that? Not on purpose.
And 2 teenage girls at once. That's a good time for everybody.
Oh my God. Teen and preteen, 11 to 13. Oh my God, they're the devil. The devil. Cool. I don't even want to think about it. But anyway, so my other daughter's perfect. And when I say perfect in the traditional ways that you want perfect, right? She always did the right things. She's always been polite. She's always minded her manners. She, went to college, went to law school, lives,
I went to college. What the fuck?
I know, but you've been a problem from the beginning. Great. And so you do the same thing and then you get this and I can't control this, even though this, as I point to the screen, is very, she has all these great qualities. She's super industrious. She's smart. She's all those things, but she has her own way of doing shit. And it's the hard way, the way that makes me suffer through it. and she just doesn't listen to advice and doesn't.
Well, the issue was that my mom is a control freak, like very much likes things done her way. And I did not adhere to that. And that's why I was the quote unquote problem child, because I didn't do the things that she wanted me to do.
Right. When she's 3 years old, you know, you don't have the right to make a decision about what you're going to do when you're 5 years old, when you decided to move out of the house with like the back of a brush and some nail polish for protection. So she's,
by the way, were you right to try and move out?
I had to go. I had to leave. I had things to do, people to see. I had to go.
She sat on the floor behind the big tire of an SUV in the driveway. That's how far she got.
No, because when I left, they were like, okay, if you're leaving, then go. And then they locked me out of the house. I got so scared I couldn't even go past the driveway because I was so little. And then they wouldn't let me back in because they wanted to teach me a lesson.
Did it work?
So I definitely did not run away again, except when I moved across the country and never came back home. Joke's on you.
It's funny because I know with my mom and I, you know, especially mothers and daughters, it's a very unique, in the best way, very often, relationship. Like, how do you smooth things over after a disagreement? My mom and I had very different fighting styles and very different conflict resolution styles. For example, she wouldn't apologize and just pretend whatever it was didn't happen. I was a seether. And she would be like, oh, Melissa, this is just ridiculous. I'm like, no, it's not ridiculous. You can't pretend it didn't just happen. And she'd go like, okay, fine, I'm sorry. Like, well, that was heartfelt.
I mean, I sometimes pretend like nothing happened because it really is nothing in the grand scheme of things. But with her now, I've learned I've got to leave her alone, have her have 10 sessions of therapy about it. And then she'll call me and then tell me how I did her wrong and what she felt, and that I don't see her, and that I, you know, trample all over her, whatever, you know, all
you're
that.
You're belittling it, but
no,
sure, yes.
You know,
I need to be validated. I need my feelings to be validated.
Yeah,
if you hurt me, I need to be like, here's how you hurt me. Please acknowledge that. Even if you're not sorry, just like, I think for me, I need to say it out loud. And what works is like when my mom first started on Housewives, I was 20 years old. It was probably the worst time in our relationship. Like we wouldn't talk. If we did talk, it would blow up so quickly. And what happened was when Housewives started and they pointed a camera at us, they were like, hey, we need you to talk about these things, like things that we didn't know how to talk about. And I think when a camera was pointed at us, there was like this need to kind of be civilized and like put together. And it helped.
And too honest too.
But it helped our relationship because we actually started talking about stuff that we desperately needed to talk about. And I think it's kind of like translated to our podcast now, where we hash everything out in front of everybody, but it weirdly helps because it's a feeling of like, we both have to, at the end of this hour that we're recording, we have to resolve it because we have to keep pushing forward. And it always works. It really does. But
it's weird the way that it comes on the podcast, because obviously we don't plan anything. We plan to talk about celebrity news, you know, Bravo bullshit, like Beba calls it. And then with those stories as the backdrop, we discover these things where we just don't agree, where to me it's so clear that it should be this way, and to her it's so clear that it should be the other way, and it gets heated sometimes. But you know, I don't know if you know, you didn't have it in your notes there, but she's the president of the Woke Olympics, and she's over therapized and all that informs her opinions.
I like that, the Woke Olympics. Maybe this statement will ring true, well, at least to one person, on maybe both of you. My mom and I once had a huge fight, and I said, you know, if you talk to your friends the way you talk to me, you wouldn't have any friends, blah, 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 blah. And my mom had flown in that night, and the next morning she's standing in my kitchen eating out of the refrigerator, and she looks at me. I'm like, you have no boundaries. She goes, finally, she said to me, Melissa, I acknowledge that you have boundaries. I just choose not to respect them.
I love it. I love it. Can we put that on a t-shirt? Can we put that on a t-shirt? Like, seriously. This whole boundary shit, that's all new. Just like feeding your children and letting them throw shit all over the place. What happens to the little airplane? Like, why is everything different? I'm not that much older. I had you pretty young. Like, think about it. Everything is different. I don't know if your mom felt that way, but it's very frustrating.
I'm sure she did, because especially the working relationship becomes very complicated. Because
yes.
So my mom and I would have the red carpet or fashion police. And, especially if it was a content issue, we would get into arguments about it. And then we would leave the studio and she would be in the car whistling, oh, let's stop and get lunch. Let's do this. Let's do that. And I'm driving home white knuckling on the wheel. Like I can't get home fast enough to get away from her.
Yeah.
Do you find that in your dynamic?
Oh, listen, I'm going to LA in a few days and she'll start stressing out before the white knuckles is just like I boarded and I'll be there in 5.5 hours and she's already like stressed out about it.
Yeah.
I think it's unreasonable because does anything ever happen?
No.
Okay.
I mean, to a certain extent, no, but
I used to get statements along the lines of, okay, so one time my mother stopped with Cooper on the way home from somewhere because he was hungry and they had a snack. Well, apparently the snack was 2 pieces of pizza. And then we get home and he doesn't want to eat dinner and he doesn't want to use vegetables. And it ends up just a disaster. And he goes to his room. And my mom, with a straight face, looked at me and said, Melissa, you've really got to be better about his eating habits.
Oh, my God. That would send me over the edge.
Oh, it did. But you're going to be doing the same thing.
100%. I think, listen, at the end of the day, choosing to work with your mom it's a choice. It's a bold, strong choice. And the thing is, it's great, but the thing that helps us is the fact that we don't live near each other. I think the distance of the actual physical distance that we have makes it better because when she is here, it's like, again, civilized. We have to have like a quality good time because it's like, well, we never really get to see each other. So it feels like, let's make this really special and let's not fight and let's not do anything that's going to rock the boat. But, of course,
listen, and I don't even, how could we do anything? By the time I leave there, I've bit my tongue so many times that I have to have it reattached at Jackson Memorial when I land in Miami.
By the way, you think I'm not biting my tongue, girl? Please.
Okay. Maybe this time don't bite your tongue. Like say whatever you have to say.
I'm sorry. I know which side I'm taking on that. That is the biggest crock of shit that she can say anything and you'll just listen. Don't fall into that trap. This is why we have a support group.
Listen.
You call me, I'm now your sponsor.
I know the traps. I stay clear. I'm like, okay, crazy.
If you tell me the things that bother you that make you bite your tongue, then maybe I'd do them less frequently.
You won't.
Yes,
okay. No, you won't. You'll keep doing the same shit.
It's just that, when somebody decides who you are and puts you in that little box, that's it.
No, that's not true.
That's how you
know what
are.
it is? You know what it is? You can't change your mother. That's it.
You can't change your mother, but I am not the same person I was when I had you at 25 years old. Do you understand? I've evolved.
For sure.
And I've matured and there's things that I did in the past that I'm like horrified about that I wouldn't do today.
Right.
Yeah, I've had this conversation.
Next question.
What drives you? Well, okay, I think we know what drives you crazy about each other. What is the most wonderful thing about each other?
That's a great question. I'll go first.
Okay. Good. I have to think about it.
You're a bitch. My mom shows up. She's a person who shows up when you need her. Will drop everything it could be the most important thing in the world. She'll drop it. If you call and you say, I need you, she will be there. And I think that that's, especially nowadays, very rare and very hard to find. So I appreciate a mom who's like, I always know I can count on her.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
That is great. Now
you go.
There's a lot of things. First of all, she has a different way of looking at things, and I think that she helps me lighten up a little bit. What's great about her, I mean, I already told, she's smart, she's funny, she's industrious. She's an amazing mother. I mean, wow.
That's nice.
Like, wow, seriously. I mean, she's my daughter. I could go on forever, but yeah, she walks into a room and you have to look because she has an essence about her, and she's very special. But man, she's hard to control.
Yeah, that's how we are. Like I said, support group. Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
I think I need Tuesday and Thursday.
And we do serve cookies.
Perfect.
Oh, good.
So it's all good. It's all good. Okay, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you a little bit about Miami before we get more into the podcast. Okay, so we really do think we know everything about you. You made such an impact on the show that you're still making waves.
I honestly, this season, when they asked me just to do a cameo, they invited me to a lunch. I said, fine, I'll go. Pimping some of my products, brought somebody a gift. They said they were going to show them. Of course, they didn't show them. And I showed up there and it just cleared the room. It didn't really clear the room, but two, of the women left. And it was surprising to me because while I may have, all their skeletons may be in my storage closet and I know them all, why would I show up to a lunch with a list of different things to attack people? It wouldn't make sense, but it was weird. They were so scared and it just became fodder for the entire basic rest of the season. So
why I say, honestly, why are you so scary to them?
That was my question.
I mean, in particular, these women are not, one of them gets kind of, when, these shows, it's all like your comeback, then my comeback, my retort, and they're not really good at that. And so that's one of my strong suits. And
that's a lovely way of calling them
dumb,
stupid.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a very diplomatic way.
Yes, I was trying to be diplomatic. And so it was whatever, the editing is, and a lot is taken out and not everything was shown, but it was funny to see that I have that kind of influence. I just wanted to go there and let people know that not all Cuban girls call each other bro.
Yeah.
And, and all the other things that wonderful attributes that they have, that we're not all like that.
So let's talk about the podcast because I love it. Mami Issues. You hosted together. Who came up with the idea?
It was me.
I don't know. Me.
Listen, we both wanted to highlight our dynamic because we thought every time we got off the phone, we would be laughing by the end and being like, who are we? What are we even talking about? And we thought it would be funny to kind of show it to everybody. So honestly, the podcast started we titled it Okay Boomer because it was about really showing the gap in our generations and how we can blend them and create a bridge so she can see my side and I can see her side. But when I had my baby, it really did become Mommy Issues because it was I have trauma from her. She has trauma from her mom. I'm trying not to fuck up my kid. And it's just all connected. But I think
I'm not a boomer. I'm 5 seconds away from a boomer.
Okay, but it doesn't matter. You're not in the same gen.
I was going to correct you on that because we're Gen X. And we are considered, and this is all over social media, which I love the description. We are the last generation of feral children. Loosely translated, we weren't put in car seats. We didn't snitch. We had no clue what a safe space was. And, parents smoked in the car with the windows.
I was just going to say, I had a car seat, but it had an ashtray.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a son who's actually Gen Z, which I like to think of as millennial light.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Way of putting it. Yeah.
And he cannot get his head around what our childhood was like. And Anna, I'm now discovering you actually speak millennial.
You do.
I think I do. I think I do. I don't know. It was just them growing up, us being right next to University of Miami and my house being party central. I just started to understand how they spoke, and kind of just pick that up. It just, I don't know.
She's still, listen, she's got Boomer and Gen X in her. There's still things that
there are Boomers do not have, Gen X we take offense to Boomers.
Okay. Yeah, we take offense to Boomers.
We take offense because
fine.
Boomers were all about, the perfect house and the perfect family. And X don't care.
Okay, then I'm so sorry to bring it to you. My mom is giving Boomer because she did care about that. She did.
Care about what?
Care about like having the perfect little house with this perfect little family.
But that's also more of a cultural thing, not a Gen X thing.
Yeah.
You forget, we came up with new wave and punk and all that stuff.
Look,
listen,
you offered a support group and now you're taking my mom's side and I feel unsafe. I feel very unsafe.
Oh, you're feeling vulnerable? She needs to be validated. Please validate her. Do you see her?
I understand you. I understand you on a very profound level.
Okay.
However, as everyone should be seeing on social media, you don't fuck with Gen X.
That's it, Beba. Don't fuck with Gen X.
We will kill you and not even think about it.
And I will cut a bitch with my words.
And you will lay
just
your
ask
head.
the housewives.
Yeah. What have you learned from your Gen X mom? Because I feel we're very wise.
Oh my God.
Cooper might argue. Like he says things to me which is so ridiculous. Oh my God, I'm not nearly as bad as you were. That's not fair. At which my answer is, oh well, different times.
Different times and different parenting and different, it's, I mean, look, Beba, before you answer.
I can't even think of anything.
What?
Okay, you know what you all have learned from
that you've
Gen
learned
X?
from me? Well, I want you to remember like all those times whenever it happens, it's about once a year. It used to happen more often where you go into this very, very dark place and you start panicking and it's this abyss of emotion. And there's nobody that you can talk to but me. And you'll call me from wherever you are. And I don't know how it happens, but the words that come out of my mouth are so fucking wise. And I surprise myself because I didn't have a time to plan this. I didn't know what crawled up your ass that day. There was no way. And the stuff that I would say was like, it was like kind of divine intervention. Somebody was speaking through me. And I think that I'm probably the person that can talk you down from the highest ledge.
For sure. Listen,
okay,
I'm just
so that's
saying,
something.
I'm drawing a blank is all. It's not that you haven't taught me anything. There's so many things that you've taught me. I can't even pick one. No, I think you've taught me to not take myself so seriously. I think especially, I don't know, I feel like people can relate to this in like their early 30s. You're trying to create something, you're trying to be something. And it's really easy to start taking yourself really seriously and be like, I want to be respected and I want to whatever. I think adding back the levity back in your life and being like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We're all doing our best and blah, blah, blah. And don't take yourself too seriously. I have to constantly remind myself of that. And I think that you've taught me that.
And also the most important thing was also because when you got to LA, you changed completely. And I told you never dim your light to make anybody else feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
she was dealing with a lot of like, she's a Miami girl. So she looked different and she's, very tall. She's got a beautiful body, and she started just kind of covering up and
I tried to conform. I tried to like blend in.
Yeah. And just because it made the, other girlfriends uncomfortable, and she wasn't going out looking like a hooker. I mean, right?
I don't know. Different times.
Questionable at moments.
Yeah. But now, she dresses like a soccer mom anyway. But before it was like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
That to me was one of the lessons that I hope you've learned.
Yes.
What lessons have you learned from your millennial?
I've learned a lot of things that I used to say and do and think really that were not appropriate, not okay anymore. And really taught me how to think that way. Because it's one thing to know you can't say this, that's not allowed. But to really understand why, it takes a long time to, at least for me, it's true. It doesn't even matter our ages or whether we're both Gen X, but growing up in Miami in a Cuban family, it's like being a boomer because it's just so square and these are the lines and you don't go outside of this and you don't ever get married until, you don't ever have sex until you get married. I swear I did not have sex until I got married, which by the way was the biggest mistake because it ended up being really bad sex.
You didn't know.
And I didn't know. I had nothing to compare it to.
But also that's that generation also that you don't move out of your parents' house till you move into your husband's house.
Yes. I wasn't allowed to go away to college.
Yeah. Neither was I.
Oh.
But that's a different reason. She had a boyfriend that was crazy and she was Patty Hearst. That's for another. Tune into Mami Issues. That one. But I forgot what I was saying. But I lose my train of thought a lot.
Oh, we all do. But I want to talk because you brought up being Cuban.
Yeah.
And being raised that way. And you're a big cook. You have a new book coming out, Modern Cuban. Where do you get, and it's your 4th cookbook. Where do you keep coming up with stuff? I mean, 1 is a lot, 2 is, 4 is like, where do you even go with that?
This one was different. I never thought I would do another one. The first one I did, seriously for fun, for my girls to have our recipes. I kept going to bookstores and it was all like Cuban food with mango sauce and that's Cuban and that's not really Cuban food. So low carb or something like that. It's like, no, I wanted them to have the traditional hardcore Cuban recipes. And so the first little book, Cuban Chicks Can Cook, was self-published. And then a publishing company read it and they liked it because of, they liked my voice because it was a lot of anecdotes about growing up first generation Cuban American and all that. And so one book led to another. I did one for the Versailles restaurant in Miami, which is like a very famous Cuban restaurant. Yeah. And then I started realizing that, Cuban food shouldn't be limited, to just people who just want this ethnic cuisine. I find it to be like the ultimate comfort food. And so this book was a lot of the traditional recipes and you have those recipes there and then giving options if you're vegan or keto or have other kind of dietary restrictions or vegetarian, that you can find a way to adapt this recipe. And I don't think that there's a lot of that out there. And just getting like a fresh take on everything because it's been, 2005 was the first book. So, but it's nice, it's you write what you know.
What do you guys see as your next mother-daughter venture? Because I'm just going to warn you right now, if you say red carpet, I'm gonna have to gently remind you to get your own fucking gig.
Oh, okay? Please! We're leaving you. We're leaving
that's all you. That's all you.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do next? A book? A parenting book? Oh
my God, a parenting book is a good idea. We were just talking about this on our last episode. My mom wants to do a musical, so that just so you know where her head's at. She was like, "Wouldn't it be fun to do a musical?" I'm thinking more like, let's just start smaller. Let's do a live show, maybe like get involved with the people that listen to our podcast. But I don't know.
Yeah. And different. I mean, I have so many things that I want to talk to her about doing. I want to pimp out her child as much as possible because she's so cute and she's whatever. And we could do like a clothesline and do different things like babies check a lot of boxes, Yeah.
Well, you could do a cookbook of your recipes through the next generation and starting to make it for your children and really simplify it.
There you go.
There you go. I thought of a great idea. Okay, ladies, this is exciting. And we're going to flip the script a little. So to continue hearing this episode, go check out Mami Issues.